Okay, so we've all heard of organic wine, right? Of course. But what if I told you there's a whole other level? A winemaking philosophy that's guided not just by the earth, but by the moon and the stars. It's this incredible journey that takes us from the cosmos right down into your glass. So yeah, let's dive into this. It's fascinating.
I mean, really think about that for a second. What if your wine actually followed the cycles of the moon? It sounds pretty out there, doesn't it? But for biodynamic winemakers, this isn't just some poetic idea, it's their guiding principle. It forces us to see wine not as something that's just manufactured, but as a living, breathing expression of a farm that's totally in sync with the universe.
So how does this whole cosmic connection thing actually work? Well, biodynamics definitely starts on the same page as organic farming. No synthetic pesticides, no weird chemicals. But then it takes that foundation and just launches it into the stratosphere with a much, much deeper, more holistic system. Let's break down what really sets it apart.
Okay, this table lays it all out perfectly. You can see right away both organic and biodynamic give synthetic chemicals the boot. But then, look at the next steps. Biodynamics takes this massive leap. It's not just about what you avoid, it's about what you proactively do. It brings in this amazing holistic approach. It syncs up with cosmic rhythms using a special calendar, and, this is a big one, it uses these unique special preparations that we are absolutely going to get into. And you might be thinking this is some kind of new age fad, but it's not. This philosophy goes all the way back to the 1920s with an Austrian philosopher named Rudolf Steiner. See, he was getting really worried that modern industrial farming was just stripping the soil of its life, creating this major disconnect from nature. So he gave these lectures to a group of farmers, and that laid the groundwork for a system designed to heal the planet, one vineyard at a time.
All right, let's get to the absolute heart of this entire philosophy. It's the idea of the farm as a single, living, breathing organism. This one concept, right here, is the foundation for pretty much every single decision a biodynamic winemaker makes.
In this vision, nothing exists on its own. The soil, the vines, the little flowers and grasses between the rows, the insects, the animals grazing, even the winemaker, they're all part of this incredible interconnected web. The big goal here is to create a closed-loop system, basically a farm that can feed and heal itself.
And this is what that actually looks like. We're talking about planting flowers and trees to attract good bugs, making your own compost from things you already have on the farm to be self-sufficient, and, most importantly, treating the soil like it's a living thing. For biodynamics, soil isn't just dirt. It's the living, breathing foundation for everything. And if you have healthy soil, you're going to get exceptional, expressive wine. All right, now we're getting to the stuff that gets people talking. The part that's most famous and, let's be honest, the most debated part of biodynamics, the practices that connect the vineyard to the cosmos. This is where we look up from the soil and out toward the planets. And trust me, this is where it gets really, really interesting.
So, biodynamic winemakers use this special calendar that tracks where the moon and the planets are. The idea is that these celestial bodies have these subtle influences on different parts of the plant. So, for example, you might decide to prune on a root day to help the roots get stronger, or you'd make sure to harvest on a fruit day because you believe it's going to make the flavors of the grapes pop.
Okay, here it is. You knew it was coming. The question everyone asks. It sounds totally wild, like something out of an old alchemy book. But there's a very specific and deeply philosophical reason behind one of the most famous and maybe most misunderstood practices in all of biodynamics.
It really comes down to these two key preparations. Think of them as yin and yang. Preparation 500, the horn manure, is all about connecting the vine to the earth. You bury it over the winter to soak up what they call terrestrial energy, and it's used to kickstart root growth and all the good microbial life in the soil. Then you have the flip side, preparation 501, or horn silica. This one's about connecting the plant to the cosmos, the light and the warmth. It's buried in the summer and sprayed on the leaves to boost photosynthesis and help the grapes ripen perfectly.
And here's the play-by-play for how preparation 500 is made. You take a cow horn, fill it with manure, and bury it for the entire winter. When you dig it up in the spring, the stuff inside has completely transformed into this rich, sweet-smelling compost. But this next step is critical. It's called dynamizing. You take a teeny tiny amount and stir it in water, creating a vortex one way, then reversing it, back and forth, for a full hour. This is believed to energize and potentize the mixture before it's sprayed out over the vineyard.
So, you have all this incredible, painstaking work happening out in the vineyard to grow the absolute best, most vibrant grapes you possibly can. But what happens when those grapes get to the cellar? Well, that philosophy of connection and life continues, but in a way you might not expect. It's through the art of doing less.
Look, the whole point of biodynamic farming is to grow grapes that are so healthy, so perfectly balanced, that you barely have to touch them in the winery. This means letting the natural, indigenous yeasts that are already on the grape skins do their thing and start fermentation. It means adding very little, if anything, especially sulfites. The main goal is to just step back and let the pure, unadulterated voice of that vineyard really sing.
Even the choice of what you age the wine in is a huge decision. And while traditional oak barrels are great, they add their own flavors and textures, a lot of biodynamic winemakers are bringing back an ancient tradition: clay amphorae. These pots let the wine breathe and evolve, just like oak does, but they don't add any flavor of their own. It's the ultimate way to preserve the purest expression of the fruit. So we've followed this incredible journey from the cosmos down to the soil, from the vine into the cellar. But now, for the most important part, what does all this intense, mindful work actually mean for the wine that ends up in your glass?
You know, this quote it nails it. It perfectly captures the whole idea. A biodynamic wine isn't just a drink. It's an attempt to bottle a specific place, an entire philosophy, and a really deep sense of harmony with the natural world.
So what do you actually taste? Well, fans and sommeliers, they often talk about these wines having a unique energy, a kind of vibrancy. They talk about more complex aromas, a more natural balance, and most importantly, a truly authentic expression of terroir. You know, that unique taste of the specific place the grapes were grown.
And don't think for a second that this is just some niche thing happening in one little corner of the world. No way. While France is definitely its historical home, with amazing producers in the Loire, Burgundy, and Alsace, this movement is thriving globally. You'll find incredible biodynamic wines coming out of Italy, Germany, the US, Chile, Australia, you name it.
And that brings us right back to our original question, but now with a whole new perspective. Can you really taste the cosmos in a glass? You know, maybe the point isn't about literally tasting stars and moons. Maybe it's about tasting a wine that is so deeply connected to its living home that it just feels more alive, more expressive. Whether you're a total skeptic or a true believer, there is no denying that biodynamics is producing some of the most exciting and thought-provoking wines out there today. And really, the only way to know for sure is to try one for yourself. Cheers!